We will sew the front center piece and the front lower side piece with their right sides facing each other. Then separate the seam allowances to the left and right and press a 2 mm wide top stitch on each side. Repeat the same process on the other side. Mark the front upper piece with chalk, then gather both pieces in the same way. Arrange the gathers, then sew them to the lower piece with the right sides facing each other. Then try to focus this fold on the edge of the seam that was just stitched. The other piece follows the same procedure. Let's work on this back piece, following the pattern shown above. First, mark the position of the buckle plate. Then move in about 5 mm and make a mark. I've done this part. Then we make a mark and take out our water-soluble cream gel. Then secure it within the seam and untie it. Then tear it open. Take out the rope we prepared and fold it in half. Then we align it to about 5 mm here.
We aim to keep the lengths consistent, so I have a marked position here.
We can align it better and then place it on. We first fold one side up and secure it based on this marked position. Then we fold this side over similarly. Then the length is roughly here and we secure it. Then each of the remaining pieces is fixed like this. We take the other side, align it face to face, and fix it in place. Then we sew it together directly. Then after sewing, this part becomes somewhat unclear. Then we fold the seam allowance down towards the wider side, which is closest to the waist. Then press a visible line on the front. Then we can trim the excess here. Then carry out the same operation on the other side. Then let me point out that for this tablecloth, I pressed a straightforward line here.
Then, according to your preferences, as I requested when recording the previous fabric tutorial, it does not have a clear pressed line, allowing everyone to choose whether to press. Thus, the results of pressing and not pressing are quite different. The methods for the lining and the outer fabric are the same. As for the back piece, the lining does not have this buttonhole. Next, we directly sew it together with the right sides facing each other. Then everyone can choose to either press the seam allowance on both sides or fold it to one side.
And if we don't make a buttonhole on the fabric side,
in other words, if we don't want to make this buttonhole, that's also perfectly fine. We will sew it using the lining fabric method. Then, separate the seam allowance. Next, we need to set aside a spot for the hidden button here, or the location for attaching the Velcro.
We need to allow for this, just like when making other skirts.
Here, we can add 7 mm to the width of the hidden button position. Then we sew on the button.
The other methods in our list for the lining are all the same.
Then we will join this back piece with the front piece.
Press the side edges and then sew them together.
After sewing, we can also press the seam allowance here. It's fine if you don't press it. Then the other side is stitched in the same manner. Then the lining on this side is also stitched along the edge.
We fold the straps inward at the seam allowance.
Then we fold it in half once more. Then press the exposed seams on both sides. Then make the two shoulder straps in the same way. After the shoulder straps are sewn, attach them according to this marked
Let's secure
position.
it. Then be careful not to twist it.
Then, let's take a look at what it looks like. Then, everyone should be careful not to let it roll up while securing it. The front piece is tilted slightly like this. We need to be mindful. The other shoulder strap is secured in the same way.
Then lay the lining on top. Then sew all the way around from the side to the top and back to the side. Ensure each sewing thread is aligned as much as possible. Then trim the curved areas accordingly. After ironing, we will do a light touch-up. After ironing, press a clear line along this edge. Then the top part is completed. I need to mention that about the mother adhesive. We need to extract it here.
Then we also put the mother adhesive
Then we can
here.
attach it like this.
This is one piece here, and then we place another piece. Then it can be secured like this. Or if it's a hidden button, we need to additionally
But I
mark the
recommend
position
using a
for the hidden
strap
button.
design because the back can be adjusted. Using straps means it can be a little tight or a little loose. We can proceed to make such an adjustment.
It fits a greater variety of body shapes.
Sew the sides and the hem to finish the edges.
Then it can be tucked in and pressed to form a crease.
Alternatively, twist it to the back and press it again.
Then the area where it is sewn to the waist.
Then first stitch along the inside of the seam.
After finishing the stitching, proceed to gather the fabric.
Align the gathered skirt hem with the center of the top hem. Then align both sides and sew. If the side of the skirt initially has no seam, then we need to be careful when securing it.
First, we need to tuck the seam allowance inside.
Then as you sew, smooth out the wrinkles. After sewing, finish the seams. Then turn it to the front and press a straight stitch. After pressing the line, fold the side of the skirt.
Fold the seam allowance in and press the crease.
I forgot to record this. After pressing the seam, fold the side of the skirt.
Fold the seam allowance in and press the seam.
I forgot to record this.